Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing today? Welcome to my channel. My name is Shepard, and I'm here to help you out with Rainbow Six Siege. So, since you're here, I believe that you're trying to learn a little bit more about the game or upskill yourself if you're currently a player that is looking to become even better in the game. So, as a coach, I am getting this question asked a lot. So, how do I get better at Rainbow Six Siege? It's a very common question with a very complicated series of answers. So before I get to that point, I would like to tell you a little bit more about myself, about my experience in Rainbow Six Siege, and we can push on from there about what exactly I'm looking to do with this series. So as I said, my name is Shepard, so welcome once more. I'm very happy to have you here. And I'm also 26 years old, from Bulgaria, and I play for the competitive team Regnant or RegnantGG on Twitter. You can search them up. The link is also going to be down in the description if you're interested to look about the team a little bit more. So I am a Siege content creator. I am also an ex-competitive player. Unfortunately, I did stop for a little while, but I am also considering in getting back on track with competitive play. And also, I do coach people in the meantime. So my competitive experience with Siege goes through Go Force, ESL, Face It, DESBL is the biggest that I've played in. This is the biggest German league in terms of Rainbow Six Siege, and a couple of community leagues. So this is the current state of extension of my competitive experience with Rainbow Six Siege. And I can tell you that I've been blown away by this game ever since I laid eyes on it back in Parabellum. I don't know why I took so much time to actually get into the game because I was playing different things at the time, but damn, it stuck to me, man. It really did. So, okay, what am I trying to do here with this series? I am trying to cover 30 episodes of which we are going to touch on gameplay, mindset, system settings, and a lot of other things. Also, I'm also going to do about 8 bonus episodes that are going to cover some operators or roles on operators and how to play them properly so people can understand a little bit easier this complex Rubik's Cube that is Rainbow Six Siege. So without further ado, let me show you the idea. So first of all, we are actually going to start with from copper to potentially champion someday. What I want to do is I want to touch upon every single rank in its own specific way. Why? Because the game is very much different depending on where you are at the ladder. But don't get me wrong, don't stop climbing the ladder because that is the way to go. So, if you can see here on the screen, the first episode actually we're going to cover is going to be this one. But I also feel that the first and the second episode should be one after another. So I'm going to do an extended episode and get the first 2 episodes out one after the other. I'm going to release every Wednesday and Sunday for the next couple of weeks. And you can stay tuned to all of the episode, and also rerun and rewatch, or also leave me a question that I can cover in a comment section afterwards. So the first episode is going to be movement, recoil, and also control of the weapon and recoil patterns, and also aim training basic. So why I decided to do this because I see that in the copper ranks, the biggest issue is that people are constantly crouching. They believe that that is the best way to get around the map because it's the most silent, and they have learned to basically aim at chest level, and they also let the recoil spray into headshot. So it's very hard for a person to get into copper and get out of it without having some proper understanding about how the game works. And with the second episode, what we're going to cover is mouse settings, graphics, and sound detection. Why are those important? So mouse settings are the best thing you can improve on if you are a beginner. For example, when I started playing this game, I started with the default 50-50 with I think it was 60 ADS and over 1500 DPI. And that was nuts. I can tell you I was missing shots left and right until I got the hang of it. So what my mouse sensitivity is currently, it's an 8.8 with 83 ADS on 400 DPI. Also graphics, so it's FPS that is the genre of this game. So what we're going to focus on is pushing the maximum output of FPS that your computer can put on and I'll get you a little bit of a better understanding about sound and sound detection in this game, because it is very, very complex of a process. Because sound travels weirdly sometimes. The maps are also weirdly put, so sometimes people can get misunderstood or wrong callouts depending on something that they think they heard. So I'll help you out with that also. So without further ado, let's move into the episode. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to start this episode off with 3 topics. So, first of all, we're going to start with proper movement inside Siege, basic training in terms of aim, and also recoil and recoil control. So, first of all, we're going to start with movement and the different types of movement you want to do depending on the sights that you have and how to approach different situations. So, first of all, with 1x scopes is the biggest mistake that I see people. I see people white swinging everything in the lower ranks, just quick peeking and just dying from just bad positioning in general. So what I like to do and what I think is a good thing to do in general is when you have a 1x scope is to always hug inner walls. So let's imagine that here on ping 1 we have an enemy. We want to always approach the enemy from this side, very, very close to this wall, instead of trying to approach him from here or very, very far away. Why is that? Of course, you could win the gunfight, but it's not always. It's more of a 50-50 chance if you do try and engage through the farther side of the location instead of the closer side. So what you want to do is just hug in, kill, and go back. So this way you expose less of yourself to the enemy, unlike if you're shooting from here per se, right? So from here you're going to basically be fully exposed to the person sitting right there, as in from here they're also going to see just like shoulder, a little bit part of the foot, and a little bit part of the head. It is a lot better than actually having to expose yourself fully to a person. This is also depending on, for example, how you go upstairs. It could be very, very useful for you when you go with the 1x is to always hug the wall, inner wall, right? Not the farthest wall, the inner wall. Why is this? So if somebody is here on the stairs, with the 1x you have a very much shorter range in what is taking up your screen. So the optics is not taking too much of the screen, so you're going to be able to easily see somebody in a very close proximity. As if you're trying to do this with the ACOG, they could be hidden in this huge scope, and it's going to be very, very much harder for you to do this. So when you do the movements, you want to always move with the 1x in the closest proximity to walls. When you're going to peek, always closest proximity to walls. When you're going to do anything in rooms, you want to always transition to the closest part of the wall that is possible. And it's also vice versa for when you're doing ACOG. You would like to approach things the farthest way possible. But also do slice the pie. So do not approach from like right here unless you really have to, but it's a lot better to do it this way. So what slicing the pie means is that instead of showing yourself fully and exchanging information of whether there is a person here or not, you want to do it partially, right? So this is enough. Usually what people usually call pixel peeking is also a format of information. So this is enough, for example, for you to see a player and to engage the gunfight. You don't really have to go forward, you don't have to go back. You need just a tiny bit is enough for you to do. So what this does is, again, similar to what we explained prior, you're going to expose as less of yourself as possible. The less you expose, the better chances you are not going to get engaged into a heavy gunfight and having to put the odds of your skill level versus their skill level and aim versus aim. So what you want to do is to just play smart. So the more people that see this, they're also going to notice that I'm not crouching. A lot of the people in like copper, bronze, and even like low silver just transition through the map this way. They transition, crouch, they peek, everything crouched, and they do it through the wrong side. So one thing that is going to give you a strange edge, but I've noticed it myself, is that if you're constantly standing, you're also going to have a better chance at winning a straight gunfight where you're just engaging the enemy without having much to do. So this way you are going to be able to not only engage the gunfight and win it most of the times, because people usually tend to aim low. So if this is the head level and a person that is crouched, usually people in copper ranks or in bronze ranks, they do it this way. It's not even a fully headshot, but they do tend to leave the recoil to go to the head. So avoid being crouched as much as possible unless you really have to go sneaking, and if you do have to go through, depending on where you're in the map, always find the best solution for you. Yes, always it's good to have the primary out, but the SMG-11 is also a very, very strong weapon for you to have as much information as possible. Slicing the pie is your best bet into engaging gunfights where you don't want to have to be basically in a blind spot of somebody and just dying from not having the proper positioning. So with this, we are going to move on to the next step. Okay, so part number 2, recoil and recoil control. It is pretty hard for people to control recoil weapons in this game because of the sole reason that recoil patterns are not the same. For example, like in CSGO, where you can just learn how to do the pattern and it's everything you ever need. So Siege pattern are similar, but at the same time different depending on where you are in the map because they're hard coded. So I'm gonna help you with getting a better understanding of how the recoil works on different weapons. So for example, if you go into the nearest wall, it doesn't matter where you are, every time you can do this for every weapon for every operator. So if you just click the middle mouse and do not move the mouse at all, you're gonna see the recoil pattern. So as we see, the recoil in Sledge is going, for example, in the left side, right? So how are we going to make this into our own advantage? So what you want to do is, of course, as any recoil weapon, you want to pull down because the weapon is shooting up in general. So pull down and pull to the opposite side. So if the weapon pattern goes left, you want to pull down and right. So instead of this, we're going to have something more like this. So it is a better pattern than, for example, what we have here. This is something that you can do with basically any weapon. So we have the SMG-11. SMG-11 is also up and left. So best thing you can do is just pull down and to the right. I'm going to show different weapons with different operators. For example, we're going to transition to Buck and Twitch right now, so you can see the difference. But it is very, very similar for both of them. So you want to do the opposite side of where the recoil pattern is going and pull down. So yes, this is going to take you some time, some practice. For example, in T-Hunts, when you warm up during games, also is a good thing you can do because it takes only one clip on the nearest wall for you to get a better understanding of how the recoil pattern works for the specific operator. This is one thing that I like to do is every time a new operator comes out or an operator that I want to learn, I always go for the recoil pattern first. We are now going to try this with Buck. So let's see how his pattern goes. So his pattern goes fully up until almost you reaching the end. Then it goes a little bit right. So what you want to do is go pull straight down and just a little bit to the left. And you're going to have a better recoil. So this is a full head size almost of recoil better. Because if we do, for example, the opposite, we start pushing to the right, you see how much of a big difference this is. Very small compared to very spread out, right? So this is very compact compared to very spread out. We are also going to transition to Twitch now, so I can show you the other difference. So with Twitch per se, it's a little bit of a different story. So her recoil goes straight and to the right. So we experience already left spread with Sledge and almost fully vertical with Buck, and with Twitch it goes to the right. So again, if you go pulling down and left, you're gonna have a better recoil pattern. compared to, for example, if you only pull down, it's a lot more spread out. Again, more compact, more spread out. So that is a very big difference, because this could be the difference between you hitting a shoulder shot and a headshot, or a torso shot between a headshot. It's very hard for people that haven't seen this or haven't learned this to get to better ranks, just because of small things like this. Because the difference between copper and the average silver to gold player is just this small, tiny bits of information, because the devil is in the details. This is how you want to manage recoil, and we are moving on to the next part. Alright, so part 3 of this episode is going to be basic aim training. So I do like to do this as a warm-up. I have evolved it a little bit to a different stage, which we're going to see in the future with advanced aim training practices. So of course, before I continue with the tutorial, I do want to say that there is also a lot of stuff you can do with, for example, Aim Labs, which is free currently on Steam. Go check it out. It's fantastic. It helps you out a lot in terms of improving on aim, because it has different setups, different practices, and training materials for everyone that is trying to improve in terms of aim. I like to do a lot of T-hunts. I spend maybe too much time in T-hunting, but it is paying off. So the first thing I want you to start doing is, and why I also pick Ash, is for you to forget that you can crouch. Just stick your middle finger to W and forget about any other button. So I want you to rush, and what this is going to teach you is to react to targets as fast as possible. You want to just keep on moving. You don't want to stop for nothing. You're not going to stop to reload. You're going to move and reload, and you're going to try and get as many targets as possible. Just keep on going. This is one thing that is literally going to give you an edge, is to forget to constantly crouch. Keep on moving. Keep on shooting the targets, and this way you're going to have basically a target always in your face, and you're going to have to react to these targets. Don't worry if you miss. It's going to take you a while to do this. It's not something that happens overnight or over day. You're going to need to do this practice a while. One of the best things that this helped me was literally improving my aim and reaction time. Also, it did help me find out if I am having an issue with undershooting or overshooting with my mouse, which I did indeed overshoot. So I am also going to cover this in the next episode about mouse sensitivity, where we can literally find out if you are overshooting or undershooting. I'm going to transition now to the second part of this tutorial about aim practice. Do this as much as you can, 20 to 30 minutes prior to games if you can, if you do have the physical time to do it. If not, then don't worry about it. Okay, so the difference this time is we are going to, instead of putting in raw aim training, we are going to do movement training. So I want you to transition between the SMG-11, for example, or pistol, whichever you prefer, and the primary weapon with a bigger scope. I want you to continue doing what I told you prior in the movement tutorials. So I want you to move out walls when you're doing like ACOGs, and inner walls when you're doing less than 1x. That is the best thing you can do. So this is going to give you a bit of improvement in terms of positioning, movement, and overall having the best way of getting your scope out there. So whenever you want to slice the pie, do it. You see, like, we don't have to expose ourselves too much in order to see where a person is. And then transition again to the smaller caliber weapon is going to be the best thing you can do. Keep on practicing this way, and you're going to see a massive improvement in a short period of time when you learn how to properly push different places with different scenarios and different players. This was the first episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. I hope you liked it. I hope it was helpful. Do put any and all type of questions down in the comment section. I will try to reply to all of them as fast as possible, or If there are enough, I am going to make a separate video episode covering the questions from the community and the people. I tried to make this video as compact as possible because I don't want to overflow you with information. This is why it's going to be spread through 30 episodes, because we are going to improve more and more on basics. We're going to go into advanced, and then hopefully we're going to get into the actual competitive side of Rainbow Six Siege. I hope you like this. Like, comment, share, subscribe however you feel if you like this video, and stay tuned for the next one. Cheers.